special board session to order. I will ask you to rise at this time for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Secretary, if you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Mitchell? Mr. Taylor?
Present.
Ms. Gass? Ms. McGowan? Here. Ms. Nominy, present. Ms. Gully? Present. And Ms. Seats?
Present. Thank you, Madam Secretary. We do have a quorum. Next item on the agenda, item C, is approval of tonight's agenda. I will entertain a motion at this time to accept the agenda as presented.
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as written.
Thank you. I have a motion. I need a support.
Support.
I do have a motion and a support. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. McGowan? Yes. Mrs. Nominy, yes. Ms. Gully? Yes. Ms. Seats?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Item D on the agenda is public comments, and we would like to limit our public comments according to our agenda to 30 minutes. And I am required to read this paragraph. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in agenda item D1. Pursuant to board policy 0167.3, G2, the board president or presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Board policy 0167.3 G2 also provides that the board president or presiding officer may request any individual to leave the meeting when that person behaves in a manner that is disruptive of the orderly conduct of the meeting. B2. Please, anyone that would like to come before the board, if you would please take a seat and give us your name and your location. We're opening it up now.
I'll turn around. How do I do it? Am I good? Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me, Chris, to this meeting. My name is Chris Wilson. I'm the softball coach here. Very blessed to be here. I fell in love with the girls and our mission of Together We Will, and we accomplished a lot of things. I always say that anytime we can hit 7 home runs in one game, that's to be celebrated. To score 30 runs in one game is to be celebrated. And even though we didn't win a lot, we won 4 games this year, and I was excited to be a part of it. I believe that the mission, I was called to come, to be here. My brother graduated here in 1976. My father was a minister for 61 years in the community, and I just happen to own a pro basketball team called the Lake Michigan Admirals. I put all that to the side because I felt that the girls, they needed that boost. And I just felt that I needed to be here. I was also hired as the positive behavior intervention specialist. I also, the most rewarding job I've ever had. I really, really enjoyed it. Why I'm coming tonight, unfortunately, I'm not really sure where the mix-up was, but the athletic director, when he hired me in to be the coach of Benton Harbor High School, he told me he was going to pay me $6,000. That would be the coaching salary for me. Now, I've coached at higher levels, of course. I've coached at college. I've coached. I've been a principal. I've been an athletic director. I've been a lot of different things. But what I wanted to do here was be a softball coach. Seems like the girls have always been pushed to the side, and not just here, but in every school. It's always kind of like a secondary thing. God blessed me with 2 girls. And that's when I started coaching when they were little girls, and I noticed that they were always overlooked. That's why I'm here. But when I was hired at $6,000. Then I got a message from Rona, the secretary, because Trey was in the building, saying that I'm only getting $3,500. You know, like, is there a mistake? I mean, is there something, you know? Then after, you know, I'm calling my direct, which is Trey. Trey makes his phone calls to Kayla and HR, and Kayla talks to Trish, and next thing you know, they've come to an agreement that's gonna be $4,750. I'm like, but where's the other $1,250? You know, it's not all about the money, it's about a promise, it's about an agreement, and I'm coming before the board. I've been invited to be here today. I've been really patient, and I'm joining forces. I'm not running, you know, to the hills and saying, I don't want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it more than anything. But I'd like for that to be cleared up, if that issue could be addressed, where the other $1,250 would be.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
President, do you have that in writing?
I have it in text. I have a request form. Trish knows, I'm assuming you know, the request form that came to her of the $6,000 from Trey. I've got text back and forth saying, I'm gonna check into it. Let me talk to, you know, the people in charge. I could forward that to you tonight, anything you need. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, trustee Taylor.
So this question is for Mrs. Robinson. So if there was a agreement through text, that's considered writing, and if there was even the verbal, why aren't we, the district, honoring the agreement if it was made?
The agreement was only made aware to us,
Okay.
maybe even a month ago. It was not officially given to the business office. It was not officially given to the HR department. There's also a pay schedule that is followed for this department, and which is what we're following.
And what is the pay schedule?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I can find it, but there's classes
Okay.
that's listed out, and then for each sport there's a class. The sport is assigned to a class. And then also there's years of experience that's factored into that. So we follow the sports schedule, which is what we thought that the athletic director was following.
So that came to 4,500.
Well, actually, no.
Okay.
It's lower than that, but Mr. Glisson has transferred over the JV team as well. So it's JV and it's varsity. So we follow the schedule that has been put in place so that we're across the board following formulas.
So is there a pay schedule for both the JV and the varsity? And were those two pay schedules combined?
To get to the 4,700, yes.
Okay, if you would, get the board something, email, let us know what the status of. If there is some text or something. If the board, is that what you want
I'll
to
just
show?
show it to you right now if you want.
You can.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anything you need.
I'm sorry, if you send it to Central.
And I will say for, moving forward, I mean, agreements should not be made in that manner within the district or even doing any type of business. We have business offices here. Well, if it does happen, it should be put in writing. It should be signed by whomever is making that official authorization to whomever.
Right, because I think the board, we knew he was going to be the coach. I mean, that information came to the entire board, right? So, but if we didn't know the money part of it, because that's not in our preview, but we knew that he was going to be the coach. So somebody dropped the ball. I don't know who did it.
It's the verbal agreements, and it's the not getting the information to the departments that are doing the hiring, like the HR department, or even to the business office who is running the money, running the funds. So that's where the ball was dropped.
I just don't understand how the athletic department doesn't submit a budget to the department, and I've asked that over and over again, but it's consistently being ignored, and it's like, oh, we don't have time because we're working on the FOP. But it's constant things that's coming up about the athletic department, and they're just operating as they're their own entity. And look at what happened here. Somebody was misled about their funds they may have planned for their life, and now they're short. And we have to follow these rules, and we still not on top of that. So I just don't get it.
Could I just interject just a little bit?
Okay, you have like 3 minutes and you're like 30 seconds over, so please, no, go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to say, I want to join hands with it. You know, I don't want it to be a negative, I want everything to be positive. That's why I'm here. Those girls, I can't even imagine, not being the coach here after being in their lives. I have 29 girls as part of a program. From 3:15 to 5:30 was the first group, and from 5:30 to 7:30 was the second group. But because we couldn't run electricity out to the softball field, I pitched 2,900 pitches a night. That's only God. My body, I'm almost 50 years old. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. By the grace of God, I never asked for receipts on the 15-passenger van that I rented and drove everybody and picked everybody up to come and go and every weekend, and the food or anything else, because I'm in. I'm all in. But I guess I'd be all in if I had all the money, knowing that, now I'm digging in even further. I've probably spent, probably $1,200 myself that I haven't turned in. And I'm not, because I'm in here for the mission, but I just would love for that issue to be cleared up.
Mr. Taylor?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else from the board? Okay, we will try to see what we can do. Okay, Mr. Gleason, thank you.
My name is Christina Hutchinson. I'm familiar with the board. Do I need to give my address?
Yes, please.
382 Lincoln Street in Benton Harbor. This evening, truthfully, I was not going to comment on anything, but hearing you guys comment on Mr. Glison's, his concerns tonight, it concerns me because myself and other parents from the Global Dual have been speaking about about this possible closing of the school. And we have not heard any answers on record from the board, none whatsoever. I mean, we heard from you, Mr. Taylor. You applauded the parents and the students coming forth. But other than that, we have not heard any comments on record from anybody. Everything we've heard has been in closed session. Like, we've talked to Ms. Robinson, we've talked to you, Ms. Seeds. Unfortunately, we did have to come to you, Ms. Seeds, because we heard from Ms. Robinson that she could not speak to any parents through text message because she was receiving emails that were threatening. So, in regards to that, as parents, we were concerned because we weren't sure, why, if you guys weren't sure where the threatening emails were coming from, why Ms. Robinson, you couldn't speak to us. Of course, we got no answer on that. We reached out to the police department. Well, we then found out that it was not in the hands of the state police department. It was in the hands of Benton Township, or Benton Harbor Police Department. So, we had to go and dig just to get answers. And then we finally got your contact information, Ms. Seeds. And myself and Mrs. Vargas have been in contact with you. However, there's still questions that need to be answered. Parents at the Global Dual are all going different directions, and I just don't think that is fair because we were in unity. The parents were sticking together. They were like, "This is what we want." I don't know if you guys remember, but the protest, we had over 40 parents out there. Students, there was at least 20 students out there. So we were working hard to try to keep the school, and now they're going in different directions just because they're not getting answers from the board. And it's not fair. Truly, it's not. So I'm just wondering, like, why is anything that we are concerned about, why isn't it being answered over record?
Any of the board at this time, I feel free to comment, and I do believe one evening at the board meeting, Ms. Gully did make a statement about trying to, and she can speak to that herself. So I do believe that board members have chimed in, and I believe the gentleman will be here sometime in a few minutes. If you all can feel free to talk to the gentleman
Can
concerned.
he give us more answers? I mean, because at this point, we're not.
I believe he can answer more directly than we can, what that would look like.
Okay.
So I do believe that.
I mean, I guess it's just getting frustrating after coming to all the meetings, and then after meetings, we're hearing all these different things. However, nothing is on record, and so then again, we're like, one person saying one thing, and then, Ms. Robinson, you're saying one thing, and then Ms. Beats is saying another. So it's like, how do we juggle? It's just frustrating.
I just want to chime in because there was a specific question asking me about an employee, of whether we were going to definitely hire an employee in a specific position. That is something I cannot answer, and I cannot guarantee, and I cannot discuss with parents and give you that guarantee in writing. That was asked of me to give that into you guys in writing. I cannot do that. And yes, I did send a text message stating that I would not answer any more texts or speak to you through text because of the concerning emails that I was receiving from some anonymous people. And once I sent that text message out, those emails did stop.
So tell me this, has the investigation been done? Because obviously it was, I can speak for myself, I can speak for the parents that have been, supportive of this school. I know that for a fact that none of them have done it. Did you send that same text?
I cannot speak to that, to whether the investigation is ended or whatever. I will not speak to that.
And that's fine. We can call. They'll let us know. That's not a big deal. But did you send that same text message to everybody else that asked you about school closings or anything in regards to the school?
I sent that text message to the people who were texting me.
About the global dual or to all schools?
Just to whoever was texting me.
Okay. Fair enough.
Any board members like? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Margaret Haywood, 1425 Union Bit, Harvard, Michigan. Once again, I would like to piggyback. I'm going to piggyback off what she said, because truly there has been a lot of issues that have not been addressed. And transparency is one of the greatest things that we can have when we have people that have been entrusted to make decisions that would be in the best interest of the children. However, in certain instances, there has been decisions that have been made that have not been in the best interest of the children. A lot of things have came out of the newspaper, even with the decision that was made to hire a CEO from what the newspaper has said based on the fact we generally go off what the media said. And prior to that meeting that Tuesday, they had a meeting about the media letter that was in the newspaper. We had a big old meeting, and it was announced on Channel 22 that there was a meeting. But the following day, there was a meeting for a CEO, and it wasn't even announced to the public. It wasn't even on the website. And it was kind of curious because it seems as if a lot of things have been done in a secretive manner. When we talk about this partnership agreement, there were certain benchmarks that were supposed to be addressed by Beer and Risa. And the benchmarks for Beer and Risa under Section 12 of the partnership agreement, for all of those who are familiar with the partnership agreement, one of their obligations, goals, and suggested benchmark was to fill vacancies for math and special education teachers. That was unsuccessful. The partnership agreement does not provide any repercussions for Beer and Risa if they are unsuccessful, nor does it provide any relief for the Benton Harbor area schools. 2, add preparation time to teachers' schedules. The district is able to cover at least 95% of its teachers' vacancy each day. That was unsuccessful. What is Beer and Risa's solution when this does not happen? Are the principals and staff held accountable for recent failure to fill positions? Can they offer Benton Harbor area schools any assurance that they will fill our positions first? Now, this is the first 18-month period. There have been individuals that have been in positions that have directly affected the outcome of where we're at now. The lady who was holding the data came in March. That was the first time she came and gave some data. And anytime you're in a partnership, data is supposed to be given on a monthly basis so that the teachers would know and have an understanding of where they're at. But she came down in March. I was here at the meeting. That was her first time ever coming. And she was employed by the state to do such. So when we look at the partnership agreement, the state and BHAS is in violation of their very partnership agreement. And so, as I say, when we look at from what the paper said, and I'm just quoting the paper, it said that the board is giving up all authority and would do advisory role. How would you in an advisory role be able to get rid of the CEO? If you give up the authority of the board, how can you try to advise if you don't have no authority? I mean, why would you want to advise something that you gave up control of? So these are issues that anybody with common sense would know. If you give up your authority, you have no control. There was no public announcement made about the CEO, and I think Dr. Tarsha Pryor would have been an excellent CEO as well as superintendent. She graduated from Benton Harbor Area School. She has a master's degree, and she's familiar with the culture. And so when you bring in people from an outside entity, which has seemed to be done quite often, people that don't have an invested interest in this district have been put in major positions, even from the human resources department out at BHAS. That lady who runs human resources, I can't recall her name right now, but none of them have a vested interest in this community. Throughout Mrs. Walker's tenure, there was about 30 staff members and other members of certain collective things that were supposed to be done to bring us in line. All of them was dismissed, the people that had vested interest. We have substitute teachers, most of them with no vested interest here in the community, and you wonder how would the school be able to achieve certain objectives and the benchmarks that they require? How is it that the goals are used in the suggested benchmark? This is in the partnership agreement. Using SAT and PSAT measurements and requirements for shutting down schools. This is a college entry exam. To use the college entry exam to determine the fate of a school that serves students who may not be interested in entering colleges is impractical. The test is not designed for that, and a growing number of reputable colleges are no longer even using that assessment tool. And so that assessment tool that they got in there is set up for failure because the students cannot possibly pass these tests, which are tests that are required in college. So how would we gauge the shutdown of our schools by these tests? Also, you talked about in the partnership agreement, these goals, suggested benchmark, short term 10 days. Suspension will be decreased by 30%. Expulsions in long term 11+ days. Suspensions will decrease by 25%. Discipline office referrals will decrease by 30%. Without coupling this item with the systematic solution, you are creating an environment in which educators may ignore infractions within the classroom that disrupt the learning environment. If the students are unruly and teachers do not have the option to issue a referral, especially since you have untrained, unskilled subs or overcrowded classrooms, this item can create an unsafe environment. And that's basically what's been happening. We have had kids that have been just totally, oh, that was my time up?
Yeah,
All right,
but we do have a trustee would like to comment.
All right, go ahead.
So all those things you're saying, this board fought to get that changed in the partnership agreement. We advocated for our kids. We fought against the state for that. And we were told to stay in our lane. It was said, hold on.
Go ahead.
Because the superintendent did not advocate for our children. She said she wouldn't sign a partnership agreement if we didn't back down. The state came to us and told us that we didn't meet our testing goals. And it was a do or die situation. Either we bring in the CEO that they want us to have, or they dissolve our district in November if we stay under the consent agreement. Because it's not the board that's driving these decisions. It's the law. So when you come at us, please come at us with the whole picture and from the beginning of our fight, because we have been fighting for our children and our district. We have been saying, y'all setting us up for failure with this 30% goal. Why is Barry and Risa hiring our people to work for them? We've been saying that. That has been our conversation. We're not doing anything behind you guys' back. The state won't allow anything to be in writing that comes from them. They call the board presidents and say things to them. I say, have them put it in writing. We don't have to.
I think that's what the attorney would be for. The attorney that you hire would have to handle issues when it relates to you and the state. You made a point. See, first and foremost, if by chance there was an agreement that the state recommendations would not be said that the state made those recommendations that you voted on, that's not giving anybody, you're gonna be held.
Even if we did say the state did that, the paper wasn't printed. Absolutely. So if you rely on them for the truth, you will never get it.
And I'm not.
So they won't print
I'm not in
that.
disagreement with anything.
Okay.
One more time, Mr.
Okay.
Gates, and I'll end it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, what I'm saying is that we full well know that there have been strategic things that have been put in place, and I've been saying this for quite some time. Make no mistake about it. I think when they had that chance to resolve the SRO, there should have been a vote where everybody voted to resolve it when that was put down in legislation to remove it. Okay, so what I'm saying, there has been things that have been instituted. First and foremost, a partnership agreement is only signed in an emergency situation. They didn't have proper meetings about this, but none of this ill above board. That's all I'm saying. And I understand what you mean when you say there's powers. We walked into. Yeah, but my point is, everything that has been done when it comes to the state and this community, it has not been addressed through the community. They had a meeting at the Boys and Girls Club. They didn't even allow us to come in. They told us you wasn't on the list to come in. So that's all I'm saying.
Well,
But
I would reach out to the state legislators. Have you contacted Lasada and John Crows and Fred Upton? Because that's who represent us in Benton Harbor on the state level. So if you want to get to the state and the state not hearing you, that's who you need to have listen to you, because we're getting pushed back. We reach out to them and we fight. So you can't say that we're not up here fighting for these kids. You just can't put that on us.
I'm not saying, I think what it is, we should have our attorneys.
I'm gonna have to ask
And trust me.
All right,
So,
thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No, looking for 818 on Crystal Avenue. First of all, I'm shocked. You got $6,000 offered to your coach 3 team for $1,800. So I'm glad to see this broke district is really paying coaches more and doing a great job and giving that money.
Would you please give us your name?
I said Ronaldo Cooper, 818.
I'm sorry.
818 South Crystal Avenue. That's my name. When we gonna stop playing these games? I mean, just as a community. We know what's happening. People here in Benton Harbor, if it don't go their way, they're gone. That's the bottom line. If they agree with it, then they down with it. If they go against anything that they agree with, then they want to raise up. Everybody knows that this is the state that is doing it. These issues that this board is dealing with, and I have my feelings as far as some board members that have been on here down through the years, and we've all been on here long enough to know what the deal is. You sit here complicit, acting like you don't know. It's very difficult for this board to move because we have people that undermine within the board. So let's just keep it real. That's not fighting on behalf of our kids. Barry Risa has no connection to this. We sat here. We've had people through their HR. This is money, and our kids are suffering. We have the role of this board. We have one employee, and that's the superintendent, and everybody sitting in that seat know exactly what the deal is. They know what they did. They know what's going on. They know what the state is doing. They've been up there in the state. They know what's happening, And we don't want to, we have a big, huge problem with accepting the fact that people out of Ben Harbor have education. We have a problem with that. We have people that were let go under lines. I'm not talking about me, 30, 40 people, graduates from Louisiana Tech University, graduates from the University of Michigan, graduates from Western Michigan University, graduates from Grand Valley State University, graduates from Michigan State University, who are from this community, that were just dismissed under lines. Now, it is the responsibility of the board to know what's happening with these policies and everything else. You can sit there and look at froggish if you want to, but I know what you do. You ain't fooling nobody. But the piece that everybody is forgetting, why is it around here talking about where our kids gonna go, who wants our kids, who's gonna take our kids? Like our kids are slaves, and they don't have a cover. So we're gonna put them up on the block, and we're gonna send 15 over here, and 20 over here, and 30 over here, and 30 over there. You haven't heard the voice of the people who think that Ben Harbor is the best place to be. And that's our kids. The people that everybody act like they're speaking up for, and they have no respect for them. The parents that everybody thinks is so illiterate, so dumb, don't care, so wild, their voice is going to be brought to the table. I know that it's very difficult for you in this role. You guys have been bullied. You've been bullied. And this right here is not just happening in Ben Harbor. It happened in Saginaw. It happened in Flint. It happened in Pontiac. It has happened in every district that looked like us. We are failing because they have not given us the money and support that we need to do so. So right now, like you said, your hands are tied. You either put a CEO or they dissolve the district. We're talking to the wrong people. Because they doing it to them too. So we're gonna have a conversation of us they keep on dogging each other, and that's what they do. They come in here and they make us destroy one another. And then they dog them too. So if people in here are serious about what's happening in education in this community, stop playing games. Because we know the games. They want that money. They want it for their friends. Whoever they bring in here for CEO, superintendent, or whatever, don't you ever think that that's not their part. Don't you think that they're not getting this money. Very research, human resources, all of these mistakes, very research for the county, and you people coming up here talking about mistakes that's made in human resources, then why are they getting all this money? And they're supposed to be top of the line. Let's have some real conversation, stop dogging each other. And ask these questions. They're supposed to be top of the line for the county. And every time y'all have a meeting, it's somebody that's been wrong by human resources. Somebody been wrong by the sitting superintendent. And Tristan up here trying to cover up or at least trying to hold some integrity for this mess that was there, and every people want to fight and argue why she's gone. You know why. Stop playing games. What do you expect the board to do? Everybody, they're scared to talk to the state. This is a democracy. And when we give up this Board of Education, we have dismantled democracy in this community. Don't you ever think so. But they cannot do it by themselves. And if there are any snakes amongst them, they need to be exposed. Because we take the one that's at the forefront and we dog them. It's time for Ben Harbor to get together. Hispanic, African American, and this white kid, they go here too. That love Ben Harbor. Okay, don't think it's just all black.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Contract before you move on.
3 minutes is up.
HR.
I'm sorry, I've been just told my 30 minutes, your 30 minutes is up. So thank you for all of those who came and gave us your comments. Next item on the agenda is a resolution from board members. I believe some of you all might have gotten a little late, had some some technical issues of sending some stuff out. So I would ask at this time if Trustee Taylor would please read the resolution for your hearing from the board.
So, Madam President and members of the community, I'm not going to go over the public policy. I'm just going to go straight to the resolution. Is that okay?
Fine. Yes, sir.
So, whereas pursuant to the requirements of section 1249 of the revised school code, the district has implemented an annual job performance evaluation system for teachers and administrators that assigns teachers and administrators to one of 4 rating categories based on their evaluated job performance. The district's job performance evaluation system for teachers and administrators is a rigorous, transparent, and fair evaluation system that evaluates the performance of teachers and administrators, in part, based upon data on the student growth as measured by assessments and other objective criteria. Effective January 4th, 2010, Section 1250 of the revised school code requires school districts to implement and maintain a performance-based pay compensation method for its teachers and administrators that includes job performance and job accomplishments based on annual job performance evaluations as a significant factor in determining compensation and additional compensation. The performance-based pay compensation method should be implemented for the 2018-2019 school year and for subsequent school years. Now therefore be it resolved that the district administration should implement and maintain a performance-based pay compensation method for its teachers and administrators that includes job performance and job accomplishments as a significant factor in determining compensation and additional compensation.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I will entertain a motion at this time to accept the resolution read before you.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a support.
Support.
I have a motion and a support. At this time, it's open for discussion.
So I think, Madam President, we just need to let members of the public and the board
That is the law.
that it's the law and that this district has not been following this law. But we want to make sure that this Board of Education follows the letter to the law for the 2018-29 school year, so we can give the teachers that accomplish and do the right things the pay increases that they deserve based on the section 1249 of the revised school code.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And I know this law has been on the books since 2010, and this board does feel like it is necessary to, as you just stated, to make sure that we're compliant to the law. Any other comments or questions concerning resolution read before you? If none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Momini, yes. Ms. Gully,
Yes.
Ms. Seats,
Yes.
Ms. McGowan? Yes. And Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, and the public hearing at this time is open for the public, and this will be concerning our budget, and we will entertain a motion now to go out of our regular meeting and go into our public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a support.
Support.
I have a motion and a support. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Gully,
Yes.
Ms. Seats,
Yes.
Mrs. Momini, yes. Ms. McGowan? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank
Copy these
you,
lines.
Madam Secretary. Motion carries. At this time, Mr. Lindsay, if you would you give us our budget information?
So school districts are required by law to adopt a budget by June 30th each year for the upcoming school year. And they're also required to amend their budget periodically when it's necessary because expenditures outweigh appropriation. So tonight we are going to talk about the final amendments to the 18 school years general fund and food service budgets, along with the proposed budget for 18-19. We are also going to be approving the tax rates for the upcoming school year, which are being levied in this community beginning July 1st. So that's part of the hearing. It'll be part of the resolution that'll be read as we adopt the budget. So I'd like to take a few minutes and just talk about some of the major things that are happening with your budget. Pretty small on the screen there. Board members should also have my computers as well. Some of the main points, as we started this process back in March, we pretty quickly identified that the district was in a decreasing student mode, and there was a plan put together to try and think about what we could do to reduce costs. So you guys have gone through a lot of gyrations on that, even as soon as the last couple of weeks. So as we went through that, we looked at attendance and student numbers, and we agreed on a decrease in students for the next fiscal year of 120 students. After we did that, the legislature approved the State Aid Act for the year, which helped us in that situation because the district will be receiving a $240 per pupil increase in their foundation allowance. So that made that loss much more palatable and manageable. We also worked together on a staffing plan to try and make sure we have a certified teacher in every classroom. That's still yet to be seen because we still have some open positions, but the budget for 18-19 has been built. And quite frankly, just the same way 17-18 was, that we will have certified teachers in every classroom. So that is in the plan. We also have talked about the safety and security grant proceeds, the possibility of getting some of that money repurposed. So in this budget, based on some suggestions, I have tried to build in a couple of resource officers into the safety grant dollars and use the remaining funds to implement the capital improvement plan to secure entrances and provide a safe environment for our students, at least while they're inside the walls of the school. So that's also part of the budget. As you look at the budget summary, you can see as we've gone through time, revenues have steadily decreased, and that's generally because of student decreases. I'm happy to say that your property values did go up a little bit, and not all of the taxing units did, but overall, we did go positive on the property tax values. On the federal grant side of things, we've talked about before, we've not been able to utilize fully all of the funds in the 17-18 school year. The plan is coming to fruition for 18-19. We're working on those budgets. Right now, we're going to be meeting with our Title I coordinator from MDE in the middle of July. And I know there's going to be some input put on that. And as you look at the budget, you'll see a few line items that kind of look out of whack, but that's because we don't have those title budgets yet. So you'll see a lot of dollars sitting in pits to our head will be spread around into some of the buildings and other places as we get that budget put together. I'm also happy to announce that the 17-18 budget will show a decrease in your deficit. One of the only benefit of not having fully certified staff in your classrooms is that the substitute teachers cost less, so that has provided some surplus, which we don't want that to happen. That's why we're building the budget where we are. And also part of the Title II grant monies this year, we're trying to build in staff retention dollars and even recruiting incentive dollars. We'll see how far that takes us because Title II changed a bit this year, the funding went down. It's kind of switched over to Title IV, and I'm not sure we can use Title IV for that. So those are kind of the major assumptions. The budget I've put put in front of you today also is balanced, actually shows a small positive at the bottom. It does include the thoughts of having some merit pay out there for folks. So all in all, from the budget side of things, things came together. We're also working with some of our major contractors to try and get some costs reduced in a few areas. And you'll see I have built in some dollars there. And some of that in one of the areas happens to do with Title I. We have a lot of trips, and the transportation is paid out of that area. So you'll see some reductions there for that as well at the moment. We are paying our bills timely. One of the other items we'll talk about tonight is the state aid borrowing, and that borrowing amount has gone down. And now that the interest rates are going up on the state aid notes, they're up to 2.5%. I remember back in the day, just a few years ago, you were borrowing at 0.1%. Now it's up to 2.5%. So it's real dollars for every dollar we get. On every million we borrow, it's a partial teacher salary. So that's kind of the highlights of the budget. Take questions on that before we talk about the resolutions.
I think we should dig more into the budget and explain, because there's some things on here that I've not seen before as far as our line items. So at one point, when we were looking at our summer school, we was over by some thousands. We were in the red when Scott was here. And I don't know, how do we balance out and become positive with our summer school? Because it was.
Part of the budget amendment process is in those areas where you spent more than your appropriations, you have to shore that up. So in the amended budget for 17-18, money has been allocated there to cover that shortfall. But for 18-19, the Title II program is paying for your summer school that's happening right now.
So how was it that we was over in our summer school?
It wasn't properly, I think it was probably thought that the grant was going to pay for it, but it wasn't put into the grant. It wasn't, when it comes to the title program, the consolidated grant application, every word you put in there is literally what they hold you to. So even on field trips, if you say you're going to Potawatomi Zoo, but you go to Potter Park Zoo in Lansing, they'll disallow the cost for that because you said you're going to go to Potawatomi. That's just the way it is. So just before my time, but it's that's why the grant process, and I've already been talking to the folks in payroll to make sure we have the people properly identified when school starts. They're being charged to the right spot. And in this budget, there's been a position put back into the budget for that grant coordinator person. You've not had that person since September last year.
A grant coordinator?
Yeah.
We did have one.
Yep, last September, he only worked until like the second week of September and was gone. Yeah. Yep. So you actually had a person come in and try and help out to even get some of the accounting straightened out. The grants back in October, November, a former school business official from the area.
Oh, just a second. Okay, so, all right. We got special education and then compensatory education. What is that?
So special ed's pretty self-explanatory. You're probably not asking about that one. But compensatory education is where mainly the title funds are spent. Title I and Title II, so it's for added needs for students. Students that are at risk of failing, below grade level, so you have a large population of students who are serviced by those dollars. So it's Title I, Title II, and the at-risk funds you get from the state of Michigan through state aid.
So compensatory is Title I,
Title II, and at-risk.
at risk. Okay, next one is, now the adult continuing education. And we're using that to give to,
Connexus is providing those
Connexus.
services. So it's direct pass-through.
okay, and the career technical education is for the,
That's in your high school. So that's cosmetology.
oh, that's the CTE
Yeah,
program
CTE program, correct.
and that budget.
You had
Okay.
you went all last year with 2 positions Cisco, and there were two positions, CNA maybe?
Right.
Those two classes, or those two positions were not filled all year, those classes didn't happen. You were also, if you had kids coming into the district, classes here, and that number was 0 for 17, 18.
Okay. The truancy services, what's that?
I'm trying to think who's charged in there.
Is that recent?
That's recent?
That's, I'm guessing.
Variant,
Is that through, Edward Gonzalez?
that is,
Or what's his name? Gonzalez?
Is that the truancy, Ms. Roberts?
And I think,
With that contract, the review of that contract, is that through, with the, Elvin Gonzalez from the county?
I don't have a contract.
You don't have a contract with him?
You know what? Hold on a second.
I don't know off the top of my head who's charged in there.
I see the number has gone down.
Yeah, well, it was basically, it must have been a contracted position in the past and it has ended, or was being funded by a grant and has ended. As you can see, the dollar amounts are basically down to nothing as we go forward.
All right, so, that was one question I had about special education. So that money comes from Varian Risa, right? The special education, are they still withholding some funds? Is it subtracted from that line?
No, nothing's netted. So you receive countywide special education knowledge called Act 18. It's not a ton. It's like $250,000 a year, and then some years you get an excess equity payment as well, which you did in this current fiscal year, and they're not scheduled to run for next year at this point. The other dollars coming from there come through state aid, so there's special education funding there, and then the rest of it's coming out of your general dollars.
Okay, and basically that's for the director and all the employees.
It's for lots of teachers, special paras,
Okay. So,
and there's rules on that. With the special ed, based on loads, you have to have so many people to provide those services based on how many students that are in those categories.
okay. All right, so I know the guidance, that's our guidance, and health services, that's understood. So the, speech
And we contract for that.
services,
That's
you
something,
got pretty good money in there.
yeah.
Hmm.
And that usually, the speech services usually goes hand in hand with special
That's
education.
the reason,
And I don't believe it. I think it's.
It's an outside,
It's outside.
it's an outsourced company.
so they come in,
Right,
and
see
work
your
with our
students
kids.
here.
Because it is a high, a job I really can't hire for. We have struggled in hiring these teachers and keeping them
So they come in,
all around the state.
okay,
Yeah, they come in and provide the services for students.
but they not available all the time?
They have a caseload, and then based off of that caseload is how they schedule themselves.
Okay. Social work services. Who is that?
You have one individual who does that for the entire district.
What?
Yeah, just one person.
Visual, who is that? Oh, that's no longer a position. Now, teacher consultant,
Stuff with there.
nothing there.
That's usually, and the teacher consultant stuff is a title, usually title 2,
Okay.
5 type position.
Other pupil services.
That's a hodgepodge of, I don't know if it's, and then that's people too.
That's people.
Give me 1 second, I can tell you what we got going. And that could be our 504. Is that Brenda's position too?
The registrar, so the section.
Other people's services, yeah.
Other support services. Okay.
Mainly people in the admin office.
Where?
Brenda, I believe Matthews, who's the
Oh,
registrar.
okay.
Um,
So that's budgeted in, although they may get paid through extra staff.
Right. And you have a lot of contracted people in all of those function areas.
Okay, so improvement of instruction.
Also Title I, Title II.
Type one. All right, educational media, do we have anything for that?
30 grand. That's usually buying of stuff. Technology.
Through Title One?
Yes, probably Title I and Title II.
Okay, so how do we budget this when we can't say exactly what it's for, but that's okay, that's another question.
We haven't built the title budgets for the current year yet.
Okay. What else is different on here? Office of the Principal. Is that the principal's salaries?
Principal salaries, their secretaries, all their benefits, supplies, professional development, all that stuff.
So it's a combination of general
buildings.
fund, title, and all of that money,
So it's almost all general fund dollars.
all general fund?
So the principals, assistant principals, secretaries.
Now, I see an increase, let me go to 2018, for security services.
Yes, good catch. So that is where the remaining carryover money on the security grant is where I have it parked right now to spend in 18-19 to get it repurposed. So there's 2 liaison officers in there, and the remainder of the dollars, which there will be, there's like $1.3 million still left out there. The rest of it hopefully will become part of your capital plan to get some safe and secure entrances taken care of. Combination of that and your capital project dollars.
So basically, our long-term debt is the loans that we took out from the state.
You've got, you're paying interest only on the emergency loans at the moment, but you have a couple of bonds that are out there. They go out for another several years. So you're making principal and interest payments on those. That's done in April each year.
So which one did you say was making interest-only payments?
The emergency loans,
So when do they mature?
they go out there like 30 years.
But when they mature, then the full
Yeah.
balance becomes
And remember,
due.
I think before I came on board, I believe they came with a plan to maybe try and refinance that or negotiate it and stuff. So
Did you look at that? Did you look at that
I
refinance?
have, that's also.
You should look at it, because they gave us
Instead of
the
the
same
time, yeah.
interest rate.
Yeah.
There's no deal there. So,
The deal with the debt, because generally what happens in, most general funds do not usually have long-term debt. If they do, it's usually only for things like purchase of buses or things like that. But you guys actually have a couple of bonds there. And I believe the building on the river is one of those that's secured with.
the bank
Yeah, the bank building.
and the transportation.
Yes, those are your 2 facilities. And there's still about $1 million left on those 2 to be paid off.
For the bond.
Yeah.
But with the interest only,
Interest only, those are out there, and that's a big,
30 years, but we're not, you said we're just making interest payments,
just
no
making
principal,
interest, the state's allowing you to just make interest payments.
because they will,
What's that?
because the payments for interest are lower. However, when they mature, they'll become due,
Oh, yeah,
the full balance.
yes. So like tonight, we're gonna talk about a steady note. So that note, we take out in August, and we pay it back next August. Well, we pay on some set payments, but we pay back in August. With the long-term debt, it's usually on an amort schedule, just like when you mortgage a house. which is very unusual to have it inside the general fund. Usually you have a debt retirement fund where you're collecting property taxes to pay it. Here it's coming out of your general, it's coming out of the education dollars.
So at one point, can we start making principal payments on that debt to bring it down?
Yeah,
I said,
you gotta get
at
a,
one
I
point,
mean, the state's allowing you to pay interest only so as to try and help you get out of deficit. But yeah, ideally you would want to start paying.
but I'm saying on our own accord, at what point we be able
I
to,
think-
as a district, to be proactive and start making principal
Right.
payments
Yeah.
on those loans to bring that down?
You still have a deficit of $5 or $6 million, so I think when you're out of that situation, then you start paying that debt. At least that's what I would do.
So what is the guy that we're paying $10,000 to from the state doing, as far as that's concerned? Because it seems like we're locked in, because that's what he was supposed to do, is to refinance our debt. So we're kind of locked in there for this 30-year period, interest-only payments.
Is this like a from Baird or
Yeah, like what's his role?
the financial advisor for that stuff? And I think he's one of the positions that gets reimbursed by the state. I don't know if we
I
paid
mean, it
anything.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, like, how is it helping?
Well, I think he proposed a plan and you guys didn't want to do it, so I think that's his job, is to try and offer plans to you. If it wasn't the right one, it wasn't the right one, but I mean, that's what he's paid to do, as a financial advisor.
All right, so let me see if there's anything else I got. I think that was it.
Trustee Taylor.
So this is set up really good, so thank you, because, you know, Lisa asked some good questions about things we didn't see, and now we finally see it.
Even just knowing what the descriptions mean.
You got it, because it may have been there before, but we didn't know what was what, but you showed us. I want to talk to you about like some of our higher dollars being spent, like transportation, things like that. Have we thought of a way to kind of lower that, even though you may have set a budget for next year? How can we lower the transportation costs?
Well, we've actually started a negotiation process with our current provider, who you're locked into through next year because of a prior proceeding. They are working with us to try and change routing. There's some suggestions about potentially changing how kids are picked up and that kind of thing. So they are working on that. They're waiting for, right now, for the student data, which is being the final verification of student data for the state. Once that's rolled, they're going to use it to begin starting to figure out kids within certain distances of buildings, how far between bus stops they would need to walk. But the idea is, because of the way that contract is written, you're paying per the route. So the idea is to try and reduce the number of routes. And we have started that process just looking at it from afar, not being a transportation person. There are savings there. There have to be. And the other side of that, Mr. Taylor, too, is if by changing the routing, we're going to save gasoline. Paying like 18 grand a month for gasoline for buses. So that's a big number. So you have a big contract there. You have a big contract with your cleaning folks. I think there's been a new tack started on that. There was an initial meeting there that I wasn't part of, but I believe a new tack has been started there to try and see what we can do about some cost reductions, or at least increase performance. And then, you know, you have, because you have so many contracted people, your staff is a very big provider to you, and just kind of being around that and understanding the fee they're charging you as far as the percentage fee is a very reasonable fee. The idea is to have less of them by having their teachers in the buildings, but that's a very large check every month.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board at this time from Mr. Lindsay? And if no board questions, we have to open it up to the public. At this time, the public does have an opportunity to ask questions concerning the budget according to our budget policy 6230. So at this time, we will open it up for the public to ask any questions concerning our budget.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Eleanor Gavin. I live on Parker Avenue in Parker, Michigan. I did have a question, and maybe I didn't understand it. A couple questions. One, the grant coordinator position. That position was not filled, neither was it posted. So I guess the question is, if you have a grant, multi-million-dollar grant, that you're responsible for administering, why wasn't it posted? Was there not money available for it?
Was
Or
built-
was it just
was
an
built in-
oversight on Reese's part?
That position is actually funded by, Title I, so it's fully funded if we have a candidate for it, but I don't know that, he left, 6 months before I.
So it was fully funded, other people applied for the position, the person who applied for it left, and the job wasn't posted, the grant was still there, and there was no grant coordinator to make sure that that grant was administered properly. By the end research. Okay, so that's one. And then the other question is, I noticed in Snyder's budget that he's reducing funds for the anti-bullying or gang prevention. Is that affecting the funds that we have?
No, we actually received the funds some time ago, we just did not fully spend them yet.
And how much do we have left now then?
There's like $1.6 million coming into the new budget here.
$1,006,000, and have you decided what you're gonna do exactly with that? Are you waiting for a grant coordinator to come in and help make that decision, or is that, who's making that decision?
I think it's gonna, well, it'll be the board's still all in place. But part of it is there's so much funding available there, we'd really like to be able to use it in conjunction with the capital projects plan to help secure facilities. We have sinking fund dollars right now that we haven't got a plan together for yet either. So I told the board, I think at the last meeting, that after this budget adoption piece, the very next thing I think they should begin is to get a 5-year capital plan put together. We've had some people do some work and actually prioritize some stuff for us. Now we just need to decide, yep, we want to do those and push it forward.
What was the total amount, of grant?
$2 million initially.
Oh, so it's only $2 million total, and you have $1,006,000,
I think after this year's spending, it may be like $1.4 million or something.
$1,004,000.
We just purchased the new telephone systems that are in all our facilities that are 911 compliant. Came out of that grant.
Okay. Also, do you have anything in your budget for a communication specialist, public relations, anybody to help with the marketing and recruitment of the district, or is it just, we expect to have X amount of kids and we're gonna budget X amount?
There is a communications portion of the budget. I think the board has been working, trying to find out if we might be able to get that done pro bono by somebody else. But yeah, there is some dollars in the communications area.
What are the dollars?
Communications budget is $24,400.
So you do have $24,000 for
Doing something.
doing something to help with public relations, communication specialists for the district. Has anything been done in that area this year?
As far as the community, I don't know for sure as far as a marketing plan, if there's been a marketing plan put together or anything like that. But there were, I don't have the expenditure piece in front of me. But yes, there were some expenditures in the area. Because there's mailing, the district mailings and stuff come through that too.
Just like mailings, but not a specific.
I don't know that there hasn't been a campaign at all. I think so.
Well, it's hard to say what the future is gonna be like with the CEO, because once that is implemented, we really don't have a say. He has control over everything, the human resources, the budget, and we'll just be here to get updates, from what I understand. So, before, there was a plan, but we have to, everything will probably be revamped, reconsidered, reconstructed.
And actually, you guys have a television station in high school. We just purchased a new, really nice camera for that facility, and I've seen districts use their own students and staff to do some of that stuff. So it doesn't really cost you anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it gives the kids a chance to do some training, and they also use that really nice equipment.
Okay, thank you. 2 more questions. CTE, is there a line item for a CT? I know there's a CTE director. Does that CTE director have a secretary or an administrative assistant to help ensure that the paperwork within that department is handled properly?
I don't think so.
So it's not budgeted for that person?
There's not really even a CTE. We don't have a CTE director position. You have CTE teachers, and then you paid one teacher a stipend to do some reporting work, but there is not a CTE director.
So there was a secretary, there's no secretary there, and they're not budgeting for that?
I don't know if there's been a secretary in the CTE area.
There has been a part-time secretary there.
Okay. Last question. There used to be a line item for lobbying for the district. Is there still a line item for lobbying, advocacy, that type of thing for the district, or has that been removed?
There's no doubt in there for lobbying. Generally, school districts, local school districts, use the Michigan Association of School Boards to do their lobbying for them. Larger organizations, maybe a larger school system or the county school systems, the ISDs and such, oftentimes will have a lobbyist on staff. I know in West Michigan, I believe 3 of the counties up the lake shore share one person who does that. I just actually saw him at a conference a few weeks ago. But it's an expensive position, and most school districts can't afford to do that on their own. They usually band together, or they use the Michigan Association of School Boards lobbyists. The district pays dues to be part of that organization, and part of those dues pay for that lobbying effort.
So was there initially a line item for that?
I don't know.
There never, oh, you
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Do you just have this year's data? You don't have?
No, I can go back as far as we want, but I have no idea.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else would like to, from the public, speak on the budget at this time? And no other board members at this time. I'm going to entertain a motion to come out of the public hearing for the budget and go back into our regular meeting.
Make a motion to come out of the public hearing and go back to our regular budget meeting.
Thank you. I have a motion. I need a support.
Support.
I have a motion and a support. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. McGowan? Yes. Mrs. Momini, yes. Ms. Gully?
Yes.
And Ms. Seeks?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the budget 2017-18 and 2018-19 budget adoption resolution. Mr. Lindsay.
All right, so the budget adoption resolution required under state statute. So what you have in front of you is the final amended budget, which we just looked at on Excel format, now in a Word document that you'll be required to sign and post, stating and showing the final amended budget for 17-18, both for the general fund and the food service fund, which are required by law to have budgets. Your sinking fund is not required by law to have a budget, nor are debt funds. And then the second portion of the resolution is the adoption of the initial budgets for 18-19 for both food service and the general fund. And it also, as part of this, and the next item on the agenda there is, it also is the approval of the taxing rates for the 2018 tax year. I've already sent off the certification to the county treasurer. But so we will be levying, as all districts do that can, levying a full 18 mills on non-homestead properties for the current fiscal year, just as you did in 17-18, along with 2 mills for the sinking fund. That's a 10-year voted millage. I believe you're in year, probably just year 2 on this. Yeah, year 2 on that. And then all commercial property gets a separate rate at 6 mills. Some districts have rollbacks of those rates when they've had lots of property value changes in the positive. That has not affected Benton Harbor schools this year, so you're able to levy the full rate. Just as a note there, the state assumes in your state aid that you are levying and are able to levy the full 18 months. Some districts don't or can't because of the heavy rollbacks. They may lose a mill or two, and they lose that money. The state does not make it up. So, but you guys are not in that situation, so you're good. So that resolution, I believe can be adopted through staff report number 1 and staff report number 2.
Okay, we do have staff report number 1 before us, and I will entertain a motion for the 2017-18 final budget revision.
Final?
It says, yeah, the subject says 2017-18 final budget revision for approval tonight, budget.
I make that motion.
Have a motion, I need a support.
Support.
I do have a motion and support. Any comments or concerns at this time?
No comments, concerns, we gotta get it done before July, so we
Right.
break the law.
But in the event that we are able to decrease the transportation expenses, we'll just come back and revote.
And then that budget amendment.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. McGowan? Yes. Mrs. Bowman, yes. Ms. Scully?
Yes.
Ms. Seats?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion carries. Staff report number 2.
Is the adoption for the 18-19 initial budgets for food service and the general fund.
Okay, we have staff report number 2. Before you, I will entertain a motion at this time to accept staff report number 2 as presented.
So moved.
I have a
Support.
motion, I have a support. Any questions? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mamani, yes. Ms. Scully?
Yes.
Ms. Seats?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
And Mrs. McGowan? Yes.
Thank you. Approval of resolution to authorize the state aid note.
Because of the way funding works in the state of Michigan, school districts, the state's fiscal year is September, school districts are June. The state, several years back, matched up their fiscal year with your state aid payment. So the district receives state aid for the fiscal year we're in right now, which is closing tomorrow. You receive the last 2 payments on that in July and August. You don't get a payment in September. And because of your deficit mainly, a lot of times districts, because of the way they collect property taxes, if it's a winter collection, still have to borrow because even if they're in good financial shape, just because of the way the cash flow works. So you have traditionally always borrowed. This is a revolving note. So we'll get the proceeds on this in August. At the same time, we're paying off the remainder of last year's state aid note, but it helps us, it gets us cash flow. I am happy and pleased to let you know that the borrowing amount last year was $8.1 million. This year will only have to be $6.2 million. And the interest rate now is 2.5%. So on every $1 million, that's $25,000 that you save. So I worked with Christopher Imarino at Troon, putting this all together today. It was great, really helping out that stuff. But so the state aid note, it's a normal practice. Almost all school districts have them, and I'm happy to let you know that you're able to reduce the amount. And mainly it's because we still have the safety and security grant money still hanging around in the coffers. A lot of it that's helping with this piece, although we just soon get that scot through. But so I ask for your approval to go ahead and authorize us to borrow from the Michigan Finance Authority through the state aid note program.
Okay, I will entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
I have a motion, I need a support.
Support.
I do have a motion and a support. Any comments or questions? Now, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Scully?
Yes.
Ms. Seats?
Yes.
Mrs. Mamani, yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
And Ms. McGowan? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion carries. Item 5 on the agenda, board business, retainment of True Law Firm. through June 2019, staff report number 2. If you would, Mr. Taylor, if you would read staff report number 3, please.
Staff report number 3, subject of retainment of Troon Law Firm as the Board of Education's legal counsel. Reason for board consideration for the approval of retaining Troon Law Firm as the board's legal counsel effective July 1st, 2018 until June 30th, 2019. Facts and analysis. The Board of Education may employ an attorney to represent the school district or board in actions brought for or against the district and to render other legal services for the welfare of the school district. Board policy reference, policy number 6320A, purchasing general provisions. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve Troon Law Firm as the board's legal counsel effective July 1st, 2018 and until June 30th, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Staff report number 3, I will entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
I have a motion, I need a support.
Support.
I have a motion and a support. Any questions or concerns at this time for staff report number 3? If none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Seats?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan? Yes. Mrs. Momini, yes. Ms. Scully?
No.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item 5, under closed session. I will entertain a motion at this time to leave out of our regular meeting and go into closed session for attorney-client privilege.
So moved, Madam President, is the attorney present?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. We do have a motion. We need a support.
Support.
We have a motion and a support. Any questions at this time? If not, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. McGowan? Yes. Mrs. Momini? Yes. I was gonna talk about on that one, I don't know why. Okay, Ms. Gully
Yes.
and Ms. Seats.
Yes. And we will be conducting business after we come out of closed session. Thank you. I'd like to call the Board of Education special meeting back to order. I'd like to make a motion that we go out of closed session and come into open session at this time.
So moved.
I have a motion. I need a support.
Support.
I do have a motion and a support. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Mamini, yes. Ms. Gully?
Yes.
Ms. Seats?
Yes.
Ms. McGowan? Yes. And Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. We are now back in the open session. We do have 4 resolutions for your consideration this evening. And I'd like to start with Ms. Trustee Mamini, if you would read the first motion.
Okay, the Board of Education moves to approve the termination agreement effective July 17th, 2018. The cooperative agreement will replace the May 2017 partnership agreement.
Thank you, Trustee Taylor. If you would, you have 2 to read before our consideration.
Yes, ma'am. So I'll be reading one. I gave one to Treasurer McGowan. So this motion is the employment agreement, and it is as follows. The Board of Education must approve the employment agreement between Dr. Robert Guerrero and the Benton Harbor Area Schools. The effective date is July 17, 2018. Trying to read the writing, I'm sorry. The term of the agreement will go into effect from July 17, 2018 to June 30th, 2027. Is that correct?
23.
2020.
22.
20,
I thought it was 23.
22. So that's what's on the
I
table.
thought it said 23.
Thank you. Trustee McGowan?
Oh, okay.
No, we apologize. We're trying to
Read the attorney's
write
right.
the motions, right?
He thinks he's a
Read the
doctor.
writing.
I could have written this one.
Who was your third grade teacher?
If you would please speak into the mic, Trustee McGowan.
She got him reading. Was she reading? No, she couldn't read it.
With all due respect, that's why I passed it to her.
Please explain what's going on now.
All we're doing is just rewriting what he's saying, so we're not writing anything into what was said. She's just making it so that she can read it. So
Yeah, I mean.
Trustee McGowan, if you would, please.
Okay, the Board of Education moves to accept the cooperative agreement between Benton Harbor Area Schools and the State School Reform Redesign District. The cooperative agreement goes into effect on July 17th, 2018, and will last until June 30th, 2023.
Thank you. Is that all? If you would, attorney, would you please read your own writing?
I did one.
Board of Education moves to accept the fund.
Agreement
Between the state treasurer of the schools, this agreement will go into effect on that. All right. The Board of Education moves to accept the first amended and restated consent agreement between the state treasurer and Benton Harbor Area Schools. This agreement will go into effect on July 17th, 2018.
Thank you. I have 4 resolutions that have been read for your consideration. I will ask for a motion to accept those resolutions at this time.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to accept all 4 resolutions as read.
Thank you. I will entertain a support.
Support.
Have a motion and a support. Any questions? Trustee Galley? Oh,
What do
you
you
brought
want?
your mic. I thought you had
No.
a question. Okay, if there's no questions, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. McGowan?
Yes.
Mrs. Momini? Yes. Ms. Gully? I'm sorry. Okay.
No.
Ms. Seats?
Yes,
3, 4, motion carries.
thank you. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we have seated at the table with us. I will start to my left and then we'll go down and they can introduce themselves.
I am Diedrich Martin. I am the Director for the Office of Partnership Districts for the State of Michigan. I also serve in the role as the State School Reform Officer.
Can't hear you. There you go.
I'll do that again. I'm Diedrich Martin. I am the Director for the Office of Partnership Districts for the State of Michigan. I also serve in the role of the SRO, which is the State School Reform Officer for the State of Michigan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Gardner with Troon Law Firm. Firm has represented Benton Harbor area schools since the 1950s. So, thank you.
Good evening. I'm John Dwayne. I'm an attorney practicing in St. Joseph with the law firm of Sangster and Wyatt-Saki, and I am also advising the Benton Harbor Board of Education on these matters.
Here you go.
Bob Herrera. I believe as soon as I sign a contract, I'll be the new superintendent and CEO of Benton Harbor Area School. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Robinson, at this item on the agenda is board president comments. I have none. Superintendent comments.
Good evening. The only comment I have is that we're asking that the media please refer to Patrick Bossi here, who is our communication support person with all questions, concerns. Okay.
Thank you. Comments from board members, Mr. Taylor.
So I didn't really want to make any comments, but I want to say that when you're sitting at this table in any state, any district, the number one thing has to be what's in the best interest of our students. So today I chose what was in the best interest of our students and secondly, our taxpayers to make sure that our district is still here. So thank you.
Trustee McGowan.
I just want to thank the person who finally cleaned up our walkway. The leaves that have been there forever are gone and it just looks 100% better.
Trustee Momini.
Yeah, I kind of want to piggyback on Mr. Taylor. This was one of the toughest decisions that I've ever made. This has been tough, but we desperately wanted to preserve the school district. And we did not want our school district to be dissolved or for our debt to go on the taxpayer rolls, which a lot of people did not understand. That if we were disbanded, that all that money we owe would go on everybody's tax bill that lives within the Benton Harbor district. And I am looking forward to see what Dr. Herrera will do. Everyone says they can do turnarounds and work with turnaround schools, but most of them that have come before us over the last few years did not really have the experience, did not have the data to show that they had. And Dr. Herrera has done turnaround work and has been successful. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do for our district.
Thank you, trustee. Trustee, Go.
Yes, even though I voted no, I respect, and will cooperate with the decision of my fellow board members. It's not been an easy road, since the state has taken over. And my position in voting no is that the state did not give us the Department of Treasury nor Michigan Department of Education, give us the necessary tools to succeed. That has nothing to do with the new appointed superintendent, CEO. I believe that he'll do a great job in his role, but I just want to hope and wish that the state gives him the support as far as academics in the classroom. They came in and they looked at the whole big picture of the finances, but they never supported in the classrooms academically. And that's my position on no, because they never gave us the necessary tools to succeed. They forced and implemented changes that we had to make with threats of closure, just as this one here. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do when it comes to 20 million, 15 million, 16 million, 18 million, whatever our deficit is. You have to make those tough decisions. And unfortunately, I just couldn't find myself to say yes when I know that we were not given the necessary tools to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, board members. And at this time, I will yield to Dr. Dietrich Martin for comment.
Thank you, President Seats. At this time, on behalf of the Michigan Department of Education, as well as Interim Superintendent Sheila House, I want to commend the Board of Education for making a very difficult, heart-wrenching decision tonight. Making this decision, while difficult, is certainly the right thing to do. You were put in a very difficult spot and where you had to look at things today that have been years in the making and not of your own making. And so I think it's important for everyone to recognize that the things that led us to today did not happen overnight. This was not a one person, one board, one-time event that led us to today. But again, we are encouraged from the Department of Education that the board has the vision and the courage to make the tough call and to allow us to come in and assist them. From the department's perspective, we look forward to realigning how we work to better support the Benton Harbor area schools and the Benton Harbor students. So thank you to the Board of Education. Thank you to the Benton Harbor community. We will do everything we can to help improve the academic performance and better support the students in Benton Harbor. I would also like to reiterate that we have some prepared press releases and statements on behalf of the Department of Education and the Board of Education. And you can find those prepared statements at restoretheroar.today. Again, that is restoretheroar.today.
Dr.
Yes. Yes, just briefly, I would just like to thank Dr. Martin and the Benton Harbor Board of Education for this opportunity to serve the district. I have to tell you, being a neighboring community, I was asked recently, why I would consider leaving South Haven and coming to Benton Harbor, and I would just like to let the board know that really my decision to come to Benton Harbor was based on my conversations with you. I believe your heart is in the right place for the kids in this community, and I believe your will is there to support reform efforts. So I think that we have a bright future in front of us, and I want you to know that my intention is to serve the community, and the school will be a reflection of the community and its values. So I will assist the district in bringing the student outcomes to where they should be, and also providing our students with the learning environments and the experiences that you hope that they would have as they go through school. So once again, I'm very excited about this opportunity, truly looking forward to working with the support and the community, and just counting down the days till July 17th.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is other. Is there any other business at this time? Trustee Mama?
Yeah, I have. And Mrs. Robinson, hopefully you can help me with this. We voted to spend, what was it, $134,000 on books to go to the parks. And Mr. Taylor suggested we have students, and that has worked out very, very well. There's 6 young men that are going in the parks. They go to 3 parks every day, and they're handing out a lot of books, and they're playing games with the kids and doing jump rope and everything. But I'm a little confused on the books, because we spent $134,000, but we didn't get to choose which books we were ordering. And then someone made a comment today about, well, they were donated. So help me understand, because a lot of the books are adult books and are not as a bibliophile would have chosen.
We bought collections of books.
Okay.
So that's what it is. We didn't choose each of the 15,000 books that we purchased, and no, they were not donated. These were collections of books.
All right, thank you. But the program is working really well. These 6 young gentlemen are superb. Yeah, kudos, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
Anything else under other? Board announcements or reminders at this time? No.
No, we don't have any more partnership agreements, and so we don't have any more meetings.
At this time, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion, I need a support. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Okay, Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Ms. McGowan,
Yes.
Mrs. Momini, yes. Ms. Gully,
Yeah.
thank you. And Ms. Seeds.
Yes, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.